Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajda channel. Peace be unto you. Ramadan Mubarak. We're going to talk today about something that nobody really talks about. We're going to talk about what do you do when people are jealous of you because you are a believer. And this can happen in your family. It can happen in your relationship. It can happen at work. It can happen within your mosque community, within your church community. What happens when you believe in something and it gives you that transformative energy, so much so that it makes other people jealous? We're going to talk about that today. So be a friend and tell a friend, and we'll see you on the other side of some commercials and a beautiful prayer. See you in a few.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
I have told you the first part of my life, I was a farmer in Georgia.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Nobody there was looking at me flying and you thought that I would ever be a scientist teaching the world.
Yes, sir.
See, it is time that brings all that.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Ramadan Mubarak. Peace be unto you. And welcome to the Sajda Morning Coffee Talks, where we talk about life, love, and business. Do you have your copy of my new book yet? Well, you can use the QR code right over here to get your copy. I guess it's so much incredible stuff planned around the book. There's a new book baking up inside of me. And so working on that as well. So I'm grateful. I'm excited. Listen, I want to talk today about something that a lot of us do not talk about, but a lot of us experience. Those of us that are passionate about something, those of us that believe in something, we believe in something that is so powerful inside of us that it makes us transformative. And a lot of us like to say, well, because of my belief systems, I go through this or that. This is for you, whatever you believe in. Whatever you believe in. I want you to just stop for a minute and think about how jealous people often are of you because you believe. That's the real truth. Many people are jealous of you because you are a believer, not because you're perfect. They love looking at your imperfections and making fun of those. Not because you know everything, not because you never struggle. They love it when they see you doing a little bit of struggling. Not because you're in the mosque, not because you're in the church, but because belief in itself is a powerful force. It's a life-changing force that can move mountains. All you need is a mustard seed of faith. That belief just need to be the size of a mustard seed and you can move a mountain. And that makes people very jealous. Your belief can exude a power that is so palpable and transformative that just your very presence can make people cry. Your belief allows you to have an organizational structure to your life. It gives you direction. It helps you know what to think, where to go, what to do. It stabilizes actually your emotions. It gives you a certain discipline, and that discipline eventually, trust me, is going to produce results. See, this world we live in today is filled with so much confusion. Every single day, we are told what to eat, what to believe, how to think, what success looks like, what happiness looks like. The problem is the instructions are constantly changing. So if you and I don't have a belief system that we are anchored to, we end up pulled in every which way. One day something is healthy, the next day is dangerous. And we believe in sometimes this advertising, and once advertising and the partnerships of the corporate world gets connected to the institutions that we believe in, whether it's the healthcare institution, the school institution, and then they start either prescribing or serving these things that are unhealthy, it rattles us when they come out and say, okay, well, now this is dangerous. When we know we've been feeding this to our children for years, so we ate it. And then we wonder why in Japan, their lifespan is so much longer. It's because there's no processed foods and people move. It's less stress. One day something is morally acceptable. The next day it's condemned. Or you have people in places in government, in leadership, who do something that you've been reprimanded and guarding against your entire life. But then all of a sudden it's acceptable. And it bothers you oftentimes because we don't have a belief system. We don't have anything firm that we believe in. See, information moves so quickly that many people start to feel really ungrounded. They really lose their internal compass. And being a believer gives you an internal compass. See, a believer lives differently. A believer has an anchor, and that anchor produces stability. The Holy Quran declares in Surah Al-Mu'min, successful indeed are the believers. Successful indeed are the believers. I was taking some notes on this morning. Success is inner alignment. Successful indeed are the believers. And the believers are said in the Holy Quran and in some places in the Bible as well, that the successful are heirs. And in beginning in Surah 23, it says, the heirs, these are the heirs. And I'm just going to number them, even though they're in different ayats. The heirs are those who are humble in their prayers. See, as a believer, you believe in a power outside of yourself. So all of that external noise, all of that advertising, all of those forces, you know, is not more powerful than what it is that you believe in and you pray to. So the heirs, or the successful ones, are those who humble themselves in prayer. They have a belief system that is bigger than you, bigger than me, and even bigger than their enemies and the opposition that they face. The heirs are those who shun what is vain. So you know how, we all like to engage in a little vanity, right? We like to look good and be good, but what happens when we overindulge? What happens when we do things just to be seen? What happens when we do things for someone or for a cause just so we can go and make an announcement and try to embarrass them? That's not a successful believer. When I think about people like Prince or Michael Jackson, who would be looking at the news and saw a cause or saw somebody striving, and they would literally go and create an anonymous LLC or incorporation and then donate money so the people wouldn't even know that it was them. That's success. The heirs are those who act for the sake of purity and who restrain their sexual passions, except in the presence of their mate. This is important because sex and sexual passions and sexual appetite is used in this world to control us and make us unsuccessful. So something so beautiful and so incredible is taken and used against us. So children can't even walk the streets safely. Children see somebody, they think it's an uncle, they think it's a cousin, they think it's a friend, and they rely on that person, and they're using that person as a way of feeling secure as they navigate this world, and then that person ends up being a sexual predator. That is not a successful person, and you're going to pay for that. The heirs are those who are keepers of their trust and their covenants. So keeping your word If you tell somebody you're going to do something, if you put someone in a position where they rely upon you and they believe in you and you keep your word, that means something. I'm the kind of person, if I give you my word, if I say I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock, I will race and run and do everything I can to keep my word, because all we have is our word. And the word is so important, because if somebody says to you, hey, I know you need to pay your rent, I'm going to help you, I'll be there Friday, and I'm going to loan you $500, you're relying on that. You ain't got time to be dealing with somebody who's a liar. That's why Allah says one of the attributes of an heir are those who are keepers of their trust and their covenants. If somebody comes to you with something, are you spreading their business? Are you talking about them like a dog behind their back? See, when you're a believer, you don't do that kind of stuff. And then it says, and those who keep a guard on their prayers. And we talked about that. Belief, and here goes this word again I was using a lot yesterday. Belief, psychology, and the architecture of success. The architecture of success. That word came back to me because all of these missing girls and these Epstein files, it's just really been bothering me. How do people rely and decide, okay, I want to go into this career? They should not have to give up sex to be successful in architecture or in acting or just to be somebody's friend. Enough is enough. See, when you talk about being a believer, we're not just talking about having spiritual language. It's what I call, again, this word I said yesterday, architecture, psychological architecture. Your belief constructs and designs the way you move psychologically. Modern psychology confirms something Revelation taught us thousands of years ago. What a human being believes about reality shapes how they behave inside of that reality. Let me say it again. I'll rephrase it. What you and I believe about reality shapes how we behave inside of that reality. So the fact that I believe in a power greater than myself, that is always with me, that is always looking out for me, that gives me assignments, that takes care of me, means that I'm going to move a little bit differently, perhaps, from someone who doesn't believe in that. So when an enemy comes against me, I'm not as moved by them, and I know that I can strategize and win, whereas somebody else might just go ahead and sell out. This is the root, in essence, of some of this sex trafficking and stuff, because we're going into it without a belief system. And I don't want to be offensive to anybody, but when we take on gods besides Allah, become polytheists, and that's a whole, we're going to do a show on that. Let me keep going here. Psychologists call these belief systems cognitive frameworks. So when, as a believer, reality shapes, when my belief about reality shapes how I believe inside of that reality, that is called a cognitive framework. And this framework acts like an internal operating system. So my beliefs create a framework. It's like in construction, you got to frame out the foundation and frame out the building, but the belief is creating a cognitive framework, and that framework then becomes my internal operating system. And then that internal operating system determines what I notice, how I see and interpret what I notice, my perceptions, what I ignore, what risks I take, what opportunities I pursue. See, as entrepreneurs, those of us doing for self, we understand it very clearly. You all know I need to have Brother Bedford come back on the show, because Brother Bedford did interviews with Black millionaires, and all of them had a strong spiritual belief system. When you have a strong spiritual belief system and you're doing for self and you're an entrepreneur, two people can stand in the same economic environment and see completely different possibilities. I'm going to say it again. When you are an entrepreneur and you're spiritual and you out here doing for self, two people, you and somebody else, can stand in the same economic environment and see completely different possibilities. What's the difference? The difference is the belief. The difference is the cognitive framework. The difference is the internal operating system. Psychological research consistently shows that people with strong belief systems demonstrate higher levels of persistence. We're more advanced when it comes to strategic thinking and long-term planning. See, because when we're planning and thinking and being persistent, in the back of our mind, we're like, I know there's an answer to this problem. I know that this problem wouldn't be given to me if I couldn't solve it. So we are more persistent and more determined when it comes to finding an answer. Did you know that your belief also, in addition to help you create your cognitive framework, it helps you to become more cognitively stable? And as an entrepreneur, you require stability under uncertainty. What do I mean by that? I call it manifesting in the face of controversy. If the market fluctuates, if you have a problem on a project, sometimes your ideas take a little bit longer to mature than what you thought. Your belief stabilizes your mind during those delays or during those turbulent times. Psychologists call this an internal locus of control. What is that? The belief that your actions influence your outcomes. So when you have that belief system and you know how I think, how I act, how I move is going to impact the outcome, that's called an internal locus of control. My best example of this is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Watching the turbulence that he has gone through, the lies that have been told on him, the jealousy, the ups and downs, and all he's gone through on behalf of his faith. Now you look at him and he is the most successful Black man ever to walk the planet. See, we have to take a note from that. Entrepreneurs with strong internal control, we persist longer, like the minister, right? We interpret setbacks as information, an opportunity to learn, as opposed to seeing them as failures. We're determined to win. We're determined to beat the odds. And we're determined to help our family, our brothers and sisters, our community to see us win so that they too can see that no matter what the odds are against you, you can be the winner in the end. See, this resilience is one reason believers often succeed in difficult environments. It's because that belief system creates what psychologists call a discipline loop. Here's the discipline loop. Your belief creates an intention. Okay? And then your intention produces a behavior. And then your behavior produces results. And then the results do what? They enforce your beliefs. See, the Quran describes us, as we talked about earlier, as believers. The Bible does too. People who avoid distractions, honor their trust, keep their commitments, practice discipline. And whether you look at this in a religious context or not, if you are a military person and you believe in this particular arm of military that you've joined, you're going to be doing the same thing. The basis of the belief system is the same. The framework is what I mean, not in what you believe in. Small disciplined actions that you and I repeat for years can produce extraordinary results. Extraordinary results. Now, here's the elephant in the room. That all sounds good, but why do believers trigger jealousy? See, when a person begins living with clarity, when your life is governed by a discipline, people around you notice. When you live like that, you become a sharp thinker. You have these powerful daily routines that you engage in. And guess what? Your results are massive. See, sometimes because we're in the midst of the struggle, we don't see and realize how successful we are. Especially in a world, and this is why a lot of times people get jealous, because we live in a world where society has said, here's what you need to do to be considered successful. And then here we come as believers, sort of all off the beaten path, if you will. We may engage in some of that list that society gives us, but then we also have these other added on aspects to our internal framework that can help us to outpace somebody that's rooted in the flimsy foundation of this world. And so people either respond with inspiration, where they say, oh man, I love this. This is amazing. And of course, we're always trying to share and teach and inspire. And let me give you a hint. Any engagement that you have with a believer, I believe, is Allah's desire to help you elevate your life. Some people learn from disciplined individuals. Other people criticize because they're jealous. Often the criticism comes from just them being uncomfortable because they may be doing something that they know they shouldn't be doing. And that's okay, because we're all sinners. We all messed up. So just get yourself together. You don't got to be jealous. You will see us when we're making decisions, our belief simplifies those decisions. But outside of that, of a particular belief system, that modern life will create what they call decision fatigue. You just get tired because they keep saying stuff that's not true. They just keep lying. You can't watch the news. You have no source that you can go to believe in anything. But when you have a belief system, it simplifies those choices because it's providing principles that are like guardrails, right? So instead of evaluating every option from scratch, a believer will ask, does this align with my values? Or how can I make this align with my values? Does this strengthen my purpose? Does this contribute to something meaningful? See, it reduces the confusion. And it gives you a spiritual advantage in entrepreneurship. Like I said, believers, we operate with a transcendent motivation because our work is connected to a purpose. You should see blurred lines between who we are and what we do because we're operating in a space of authenticity, because the goal is to just be able to navigate in a wealthy and an abundant way just by doing what you believe and who you are and being who you are. Research consistently shows that purpose-driven individuals demonstrate greater persistence, creativity, and resilience. Because that purpose that we're anchored in, it fuels our sacrifice. It lengthens our long-term thinking, right? So Allah gives us behavioral guidelines. So a lot of times we see athletes and entertainers on television who are talking about their belief system, and people automatically start hating. Oh man, I can't stand that. Or some people say, you know what? Let me try that. I like how they show up in the world. See, we have to learn, if we are going to be free, that we cannot be afraid to create our own internal framework by pulling from belief systems and opportunities that we see out here that we believe will strengthen who we are. Don't let nobody tell you that you shouldn't talk to certain people or you shouldn't deal with certain. That's just like I gave a quote at the beginning and I said, people in Japan live longer. Well, what if society said, well, don't listen to Japanese people, but there's information there that I can take and learn that's going to help lengthen my life and the people around me and help with some healing. We were in China a few years ago now, and we saw China doing the research to cure diabetes with stem cells. And now they just announced that they have the cure for diabetes and they can help people to begin to produce insulin again. Well, if I'm up here buying into the societal rhetoric to not like Chinese people, then I might miss the cure. It might just be a matter of me jumping on a flight with a loved one who's suffering from diabetes and going over there and getting the treatment. We wasting money going on vacations, buying cars and purses anyway. Why not get on a flight and go heal somebody, help somebody heal? If the discipline of us as Muslims in the Nation of Islam is good, not only for us and our people, you'd have to be insane to ignore what we're offering just because somebody told you don't talk to the Muslims. It's insanity. We got to break out of this matrix. We talked yesterday about not being binary thinkers. You like Tupac or Biggie. Don't make nobody. Why do you got to pick? Why can't you like them both? Why can't you like both Prince and Michael Jackson? Why can't you like both Minister Louis Farrakhan and Reverend Jesse Jackson? Why not? Why you got to pick? Why we got to be divided up in camps? We're not slaves. We're not children. You don't got to divide us up on the playground. Because if our people learn to understand that we as Black people are not a monolith, we are not all the same. And there are things that you can learn from each and every person. And so those in leadership, when they are speaking for Black people, you got to bring various different types of Black people to the table. Some of us are educated. Some of us come from the streets. Some of us are Muslims. Some are Christians. Some are Hebrew Israelites. It just depends. But you got to bring a plethora of people, and we have to be mature enough to be able to unite around a common belief system. See, people who build disciplinary systems inherit opportunities. Whether you see it or not, we are inheriting opportunities. People who build trust systems inherit responsibility. Whether you see it or like it or not, we are building a trust system that is allowing us and putting us in position to inherit responsibility. We're building characters, which means what? We are inheriting leadership positions. Belief prepares us as humans, as people, to handle success without losing our souls. So if you have chosen belief in a world filled with confusion, remember this: your belief is not limiting you. So don't say, oh, let me leave, let me go. This happens with a lot of us when we have to be mindful. A lot of us go to college, we send our children to school, and our children decide that they want to taste the world a little bit because they believe that the belief system that we've instilled in them is limiting them. And I'm saying, let's do a better job demonstrating the inheritance of this belief system. It's not limiting you. It's organizing you. It's refining your thinking. It's strengthening your discipline. You are the heirs of opportunity. You and I are the heirs of responsibility. You and I are the heirs of leadership. Because daggone it, we put in the work. We can do it, and we should be given the responsibility. Over time, the discipline that we have exuded is now producing results. And when people see those results, remember, some people will celebrate you. Others may question you. Others may get jealous of you because they've been told all their life what direction to go. And then here you come, you came at it from a different angle. Now they're jealous. But the Quran said it clearly. Successful indeed are the believers. All right, let's see what y'all talking about in the chat. I had to get that off my chest because this is a big thing now, because we are moving, I believe, into this era where believers are walking into their inheritance. And we got to be strong too. Do you really think that you would be disciplined at doing something for 20, 30 years? See, society makes you think, well, it's got to be the old against the young. This is an interesting thing. I was watching a podcast the other day, and it was a brother who I think he's a Muslim. And he was talking about old people this and older people that. I'm like, bro, you don't even figure out what you're doing until you turn a certain age. I heard the minister say that. I can't even imagine inheriting a kingdom at 25. I can't even imagine. So let's stop with all of that. Because you can be wise at 25 or you can be a fool at 25. You can be wise at 58 or you can be a fool at 58 or whatever age. It's all about us taking advantage of the information that is there. And when you understand how to recognize patterns and people can hip you to patterns and structures and how things are done, then you won't be so blind when you go into a particular situation. See, when you ignore those that have history, what happens? You going into it, you got to reinvent the wheel. You got to learn everything all over again. You may say, hey, whatever you're sharing with me, I love it. Thank you. But I'm going to go a different direction. But at least you got the information. All right. Let's see. Sister Betty is here. Brother Lamont, I see you, Brother Lamont. He said, good morning. Wa alaikum salam. Sister Betty says, good morning, everyone. Brother George says, I agree. Sister Aletha's in the house. She says, Ramadan Mubarak, peace to everyone on this fine Saturday morning. Peace, 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 sister. Assalamu alaikum. Dress code is here. Wa alaikum salam. Sharif Mateen, Ramadan Mubarak, alhamdulillah is what Sharif says. Zachary, nothing became impossible. That's right. That's right. Give me some questions and comments on the talk that we had. Let me know what you think. We got a few minutes. We can discuss your questions. If you got a point you want to make about it. It says, oh, my apologies. Assalamu alaikum. Happy say, oh, okay. Meet and overcome all obstacles. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Nothing becomes impossible when you believe. Do you do corporate board development? I do corporate board development. It's one of my strong suits because it's so important how you create your board, but more importantly, how you set up the operations of your board. Because a lot of us set up boards and then we corrupt the board because of how we operate and how we interact with them. So yes, you can go to sajdawendymuhammad.com. You'll email me and send me some information about what it is you're trying to do. We'll set up a session we can do 2 sessions. The first session is free where we just do an assessment. The second session is for a fee where we start breaking it down. If you need long-term coaching consulting, we can certainly make that arrangement as well. All right. Sister Monica is here. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak, and blessed Saturday, family. Thank you, Sister Monica. Appreciate you. Landra Nura Sabakan Muhammad says, ASA RMHSD, I pray that everyone is in the best of health and spirit. I try to make today better than yesterday. Amen. Give me some feedback on the class today. Amina Han said, ASA, buenos dias all. Brother Mandine is in the house. He said, watching and listening in Chicago. That's our brother from CROW, the Coalition for the Remembrance of Elijah Muhammad. Sister Amina says, we can run, but we can't hide. Recognize the leadership ability in us, and they seek us out. Yeah, sometimes they seek us out, sis, but sometimes there's a whole jealousy and a little bit of haterism where people, push against us and try to keep us out of mainstream because they see other people doing that. And so that's what I'm speaking to today, because these businesses, these government institutions are missing a level of intelligence and a level of discipline because oftentimes we're being left out. I'm telling you, you're going to get so much bang for your buck, if you will, if you bring us on to these boards, these think tanks, these committees. Okay. Let's see. Sister Monica said, thank you for dispelling the restraint myths about our belief that propel our young into worldly belief expectations. Yeah. Mom says, happy Saturday. Appreciate your powerful teachings. Thank you, Mom. And Leandra says, yes, believers in our inheritance. Okay. Brother Michael's in the house. He gives us the greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Amna says, when I was in my 20s and 30s with the teachings, I still wasn't ready for the opportunities I am now. I have now. I would have squandered them. I wasn't mature enough. Yeah. Brother Mandine says, I appreciate your consistency with educating our people, Sajda. Thank you, Brother Mandine. I appreciate your consistency as well. And I encourage you all to go over and check out Brother Mandine on the Munir Muhammad show. Go to his Facebook page and you'll be able to see when he goes live. Put those notifications on. Put your notifications on here so you know when I go live. Support. If you want to give a love offering, all you got to do is go to Cash App, Sajda Enterprises. I want you to get the book. And I want us to start studying. We got some things coming up that we are working on. So you're going to hear about them very, very soon. Any questions, any thoughts about what we discussed today? Remember, understand that people see from where they are. They see from where they are. So when you peep out that kind of jealousy and people act in a certain kind of way, just realize that's where they are. I get it. That's where you are. Now, because you might be in savage mode, I might need to dial back from you. But I got love for you. You just may be in a space that I can't come to get with you. But I hope that you are inspired by something that I do. Sister Monica says, yes, they leave us out. I attended the Hope Conference, and you were a very missing force in that environment of sharing nuggets with your presence. I didn't know about it, Sister Monica. Don't hesitate to let me know about these things. I didn't know anything about the Hope Conference. Michael Muhammad says, please be advised that her book so far is a great study. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. The book is designed to be that, to spark thought, to really help push us and understand that entrepreneurship and doing for self is a multifactorial process. So it's about belief systems and spirituality. It's about creating ecosystems. So supporting others who are on the same mission as you are. Okay. It's also about self-governance. So as we move into this space to make our communities a great place to live, there's so many things we have to clean up inside of us. And if we understand doing for self and take doing for self beyond the hustle, beyond the transaction, we will realize that we got to think a few chess moves ahead, and we will ultimately make our community a better place to be. See, here's what happens to a lot of us. We get an opportunity and we get a little money and we become very niggardly. Niggardly in that, I ain't sharing with nobody else. I ain't shopping with no black people. I ain't going to be around. Niggardly. And that is something we have to work on. We have to care about causes that are impacting our people. We don't have the luxury anymore of just going, you know what, I'm just going to move way out to the suburbs where I don't even have to care about these folks. I ain't even got to see them. Because now we're in a day and time where it's affecting all of us. See, that was all by design anyway. Get us to move away from each other, divide us, conquer us, make us think that we're better than the people we left behind, when in actuality we're not. And get us all caught up in the same trap. Guess what, though? Despite all of that, the wealth of Black people in America is growing by leaps and bounds. I don't have the statistics in front of me. I was studying it the other day, and I don't know what I did with my notes, but Our wealth is growing by leaps and bounds. We are doing better than we ever have been. But then there's a group of us that are doing worse. And then the forces against us. See, here's the thing where your belief system comes in. The more successful you are, the greater your enemies become. So the minister says you judge a man or a woman by their enemies. So, when you ain't really doing nothing, you can just exist. You can go to work, you can come home, and then nobody's really tripping because you in that box and they okay with it. But when you start trying to do things that are extremely impactful, things that are historical, things that are on the next level, now you got a different set of enemies. A whole different set of enemies. And when you get those different set of enemies, that should be your signal. Oh, I'm on to something. And so now my belief system has to get bigger. My belief system has to expand. My focus has to become more laser focused. So what has happened to us as a people, this $33 trillion that we spend as consumers, that's because we're making more money than what we've ever made. So now our enemies are greater. And we have to recognize that. We can't keep talking the same old Negro talk and realizing that our enemies are greater than what they've ever been. But our faith is also more potentially powerful than it's ever been. See, sometimes we don't consider the fact that as we're growing, Allah is growing and expanding too. The universe is moving and changing and expanding as well. And so the mind behind the universe has to be expanding and growing and changing. And so now that we've become more successful, we own more businesses, we own more wealth. Yes, our money only spends 60 seconds in the community, but we're making more money. And so the enemy's greater because they're looking at it saying, wow, if they learn to keep that money in their community a little longer, how much more power will they have as a people? How much more will they influence the systems that have been attempting to keep them down? If they would just keep their money, create these ecosystems, and keep their money in the community a little longer. We got a lot of little Black towns, a lot of little Black suburbs where we are governing. We're the mayor, we're the council, we're the police chief in a lot of these towns. If we get ourselves together and realize what it is that we have and make sure that we are governing with the level of respect, like I talk about in this book, think about that power. Not power to hurt somebody else. See, that's the other thing that people fear, that when we come in power, we're going to do to other people what has been done to us. And that's not true. That's not what we're taught. We are taught to examine ourselves and say, who will you be when you as the bottom rail becomes to the top? How different in leadership will you and I be than what we experience today? That's our responsibility. And we've been given that responsibility. That's why we are set to inherit a level of leadership that will benefit all of humanity. All of humanity. Because that's what we've been taught for over 100 years, especially those of us in the Nation of Islam. We've never been taught to hurt, dismantle somebody, make them feel bad, harm them. Never, ever, ever in our discipline have we been taught that. We've always been taught to be greater leaders than those that are over us. We've always been taught to work towards the liberation of our people and to treat everybody with fairness. Always been taught that. I've never, in all the years that I've known the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and all the studying I've done of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, have I ever seen or heard of any teaching where we've been taught to be violent. We've been taught you fight with those who fight with us. Now, you mess with us, you're going to have to deal with some fire. But we've never been taught that. We've always been studying. This is why a lot of people get weary, because we've always been studying to inherit leadership positions where we would be fair. Always. So you can get that lie out of your head. We've never been taught that. That ain't even who we are. We're going to go in, we're going to take over, and we never. We've been taught that we will go in and assist with the establishment of truth and fairness. We've been taught to respect the life of human beings. That's right, Brother Michael. Thinking for the whole is the qualification for prestige leadership. Thank you, Sister Lisa, for your comment. Yes, that is what we've been taught. All right, family. So I wanted to deal with that elephant in the room and why people jealous of us as believers and jealous of you as believers. There's a whole psychological process which we've talked about. If you're just joining us, go back and listen to this. And this ain't to hurt nobody and shame nobody and make nobody feel bad, because guess what? This can happen no matter where you are. You can be in a circle of so-called believers and people be jealous of you because you're a believer, because they got something in them that makes them still want to control you, something in them where they're not doing what they're supposed to do, so they don't want to see you doing it. But here's the thing. When you see somebody doing something that is helping them to become successful, that is helping to line them up to be an heir of Almighty God, Allah, be motivated. Be motivated. Say, you know what? I can learn something from him. I can learn something from her. Thank you. Thank you, Allah, for that reminder. Sometimes it's just a little reminder that you need. You might have been at the grocery store. I had a sister one time, I was at the grocery store, and she told me, she said, girl, she said, I came over here to buy some cookies and some potato chips. She said, and then she said, I saw you over here. She said, you got jalapeno peppers. It was a produce market. She said, you got Brussels sprouts. And she said, and it just motivated me. She said, I'm about to go put this cake back. She said, because I'm already on insulin. That's how we're supposed to be. Like, oh, look for Allah everywhere. He sent us a little reminder. Oh, okay. Let me remember this. I ain't saying you can't eat no cakes, but in her particular case, based on how she was suffering from a health standpoint, Allah reminded her when she saw what I was getting. All right, family. Make sure you get the book. Grab a copy of the book. We got a lot of things happening that are coming up. Stay close to social media. We're going to be making some announcements. If you want to give a love offering, just go to Cash App, Sajda Enterprises, or you can Zelle using wendy100m@gmail.com. But get the book. Get the book. Get the book. Get the book. Okay. And if you say, no, I only got $35, but I can give 10, Cash App. Or if you say, I got the book already, I just want to support, please do that as well. Listen, y'all, freedom ain't free. We got to finance this stuff. And when we ask you to support, that's just what it is, to support. Because somebody, for me, my life, my death, and my sacrifice is all for Allah. I'm all in. I'm all in. So however you support me, it's all going back to the cause. Okay, y'all, before we go, let's see. Sister Lisa says, yes, ma'am. Thank you for the reminders you give through your work and service to Allah's people. Thank you, sis. Praise be to Allah. Brother Lamont says, being the best example of what you believe is a help to others. That's right. Okay. Praise be to Allah, family. We'll see you. Make it a beautiful day. Go out there, do something for yourself, and make sure y'all exercising. Make sure you exercising and moving. Some people say, well, I don't live in a neighborhood. I can't get out and walk. I don't have a gym membership. There are things you can do right in your home. You can get you on the computer now. Go on YouTube University, start stretching. You can do squats. You can do push-ups. You can do things to strength and resistance train right in your home. Okay, it don't got to be fancy. You don't got to put your little spandex on and go to the gym and all of that. Just right now, when we get off of here, you can step to the side and knock out about 25 squats. But make sure you're moving and make sure you're exercising. And when you make those food choices, think twice and choose healthy options and try to eat as clean as possible and practice one meal a day. When you're practicing that one meal a day, your body will begin to produce its own stem cells. It'll start eating up any tumorous or bad cells that you have in your body because you're giving it a break from processing food. Then the next time you eat, if you eat healthy, it will replenish those bad cells that it had to get rid of during that process where you let it get to its fasting state. And listen, I know it's hard. We may not do it perfectly. There are going to be some days I wake up and I'll be like, you know what? I want a muffin. And then most days I'm like, I'm good. Let's keep going. Give me some coffee and some tea. I'm ready. So let's think about our health. Let's think about our ecosystem we're creating. And let's think about our cognitive framework that we talked about here today. All right. May Allah bless each and every one of you. I love you. I thank you. Amna says she getting ready for a hike. Oh, I love hiking. Love, love, love it. All right. May Allah bless you. And Ramadan Mubarak.